Hello and welcome to day 1 of our crochet along. This is going to be, this first square is super easy. It's solid. It's all one color. So it's going to be a really good way for those of you who are brand new to corner and don't even know, have never even tried it. This is a great way for you to learn how. So the way that I've planned the crochet along is that the squares will get progressively a little bit more color changes and a little bit carrying the yarn. You know, we'll do some carrying the yarn later. But first we're going to start off with the basic solid corner to corner square. I am working with the Cobblestone Heather medium weight yarn in a size H hook. The gauge doesn't matter too much, so just pick a hook that you don't want it too big, or the spaces between the stitches are too big, and you don't want it too little, or the blanket will end up being a little too small. So I'm using a 5mm, a 4mm, a 4.5mm, or maybe even a 6 would work. So just try it out and see if you like how it looks. And then also a link to the full materials list and how many skeins of yarn that you're going to need are in the description. So click down to get all that info. Okay, so we're going to start with a chain 5. And you're gonna double crochet into the 3rd chain from the hook. Double crochet in the next 2 chains. And that completes the first row. So you're working corner to corner. So the first corner is just one square, and the next corner, you're going to increase each time. So this is what you do every single time you're increasing. You've reached the top, you're going to chain 5, and this is going to be working the first square, the first set of the next row. So you've started with your 5 chain, so you're going to double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, double crochet in the next 2, like this. Okay, so we have the first one, but it's not quite right? So you got to flip this up like this. So this is really the hardest part, is figuring out how to switch it, how to flip it up. So you're going to flip it up like that. So now you're going to be able to work in this chain space. That's where you're always going to work, into that chain space. So we're going to slip stitch it to connect it. And now this is our first square, and this is the first square of the next row. So now we're going to finish it by working 3 double crochet in that same chain space. So that completes row 2. So we've got first right here, 2 right there. So you're going to be increasing by 1 every time you go. And an easy way that I've found is that this first square with the tail will always be on the bottom left, if you're working it from bottom up like that. Okay, so to start the next one, we're going to chain 5, double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, double crochet in the next 2 chains, and then here comes the part where we have to flip it. So it's down like this. So we're doing kind of like this. You're going to flip it like that, and there's that first row with my tail, and it's back on the bottom left. So now it's kind of like a staircase. You're going to work up the stairs. So you're going to slip stitch, chain 2, and then work 3 double crochet. So that first one, when you flip, that's the first one of the row. So when you flip, you'll have the first one completed. Slip stitch, chain 2, double crochet 3 in the chain space. So now we've completed row 3. And you can see that it alternates. We have the right side of the stitches here, right side of the stitches here, and then the stitches are going this way, because you're flipping it 90 degrees, or 90 degrees? Yeah, I think that's 90 degrees. Okay, So now we're going to start row 4. You're going to chain 5, double crochet in the second chain from the hook, double crochet in the next 2 chains. Here we are again. We're going to flip it, and there's that tail in the bottom left corner. And then we're going to finish the rest of the row. And that completes row 4. So I hope that this is easier than you thought it was. So what you're going to do is you're going to just keep increasing until you reach 16 on the bottom and 16 on the top. And when I first was doing my first little corner to corner swatch of just practicing and learning, I ended up with 15 on the bottom and 16 on the side. And I was like, what is this? So what I had done is I had joined, and instead of working 3, I just went up. So I kind of skipped one. So be aware of that. And even still, I'll count. As soon as I finish a row, I'll count how many I have to make sure that I'm on track. So I want you to keep doing the sequence. I want you to keep increasing until you have 16 this way and 16 that way. And then I'll meet you back here and we will learn how to decrease. Okay, so we are back. So I have a 16 by 16 piece. So now it's the right height and the right width. So now we just need to decrease and bring it together. So this is how you work the decrease. So I finished, this is row 16. So I finished that row. And to decrease, I'm going to chain 3, and then I'm going to flip. So I flipped it. There's my bottom corner. And from here, I'm just going to slip stitch into that chain space and continue on. So I'm back to where I need to be to work the row up, but I haven't made another stitch on that side. So now that I've done that, this side is going to continue to be 16 blocks. So from here, I can continue and finish the row. Okay, so we've made it all the way to the top. This is row 17, made it all the way to the top. So if we were still increasing, at this point I would chain 2 and then work more in that last one. But we're done increasing. So you're going to do similarly what you did in the beginning. You're going to chain 3 and then flip. So now we've closed off this side. So we're going to chain 1, and now we can start row 18. Which is going to take us all the way up here, and each time you're going to do 1 less. So you're more than halfway done at this point. So let's do that. So from this point on, just continue decreasing. Make sure that you are staying in line with this part. And this part you're not increasing, you're going to do with a chain 3 and slip stitch. And then when you finish, you should have a 16 by 16 square. So meet me back here for finishing. Okay, so I have almost finished the square. And I just wanted to show you this last part of finishing it. So I'm going to work on the last row, which is the last, it's just the 1 square that makes up the corner. So there's my 3 double crochet. You're going to join it with a slip stitch, and then to finish it, you're going to do your chain 3, flip, and then slip stitch into there. And then that finishes it. So this is square 1, day 1 of the crochet along. And you're going to make 4 of these squares. So you should have the corner to corner technique down pretty good after making 4 of these squares. Again, it's 16 by 16, 16 across, 16 down. and make 4 of them, and then we will move on to day 2, which will have a little bit of color work in it. Not too much, but just enough to get you kind of comfortable with 2 colors. All right, I will see you on video 2.